It's NBT Live, No Boring Training Live. No Boring Training is a channel dedicated to improving corporate training. Join the fight, join NBT Nation, and stand up against horrible, awful, miserable, boring corporate training. I'm Adam Spack, certified no boring training with a random Saturday afternoon live session. I am deep, deep, my friends, in the middle of a 2-week in-person classroom-based training program. And I wanted to talk a little bit today about the idea of how do you keep your energy levels high through the duration of a 2-week program. That is a lot of energy to be pouring out. And as we all know, my friends, when you're doing instructor-led training or even virtual-led training, the energy, the passion that we bring to the room is the energy and passion our participants will have. They rise to our level. But how do you keep that level high over the course of a lengthy program? Whether it's a week, 3-4 days, 2 weeks, whatever. How do you keep that energy high when you're just pouring everything out? That's what we're going to talk about today. If you find these sorts of topics about how to improve the design, delivery, and development of trainings interesting, be sure to subscribe to the channel, give this a thumbs up, jump in the comments, give me some thoughts. But how do you keep your energy level high through a lengthy training program? That's what we're going to talk about in today's live. So when you're delivering, let's start off with this first. When you're managing corporate training, when you're actually running a training program, let's segment the duties and responsibilities into sort of 3 quick roles. One is coordination. That's keeping the schedule on track, making sure the subject matter experts are ready for their session if you're using those. If you're having guest appearances, that you have those all scheduled, calendar invites sent out. If one of your guest speakers or subject matter experts needs to change, you're coordinating all that in the background. So that's one piece. The other piece is facilitation. So you're in the classroom now, starting off the day, wrapping up the day, making sure everybody knows where to go throughout this program, that you're setting up each session, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, there's the delivery piece. You, as a coordinator and facilitator, may also need to deliver some content. So now you're pouring yourself out even more. You're not only keeping all the plates spinning in the background, but you're also delivering training sessions, which is very taxing. So all of this can serve to drain our energy. And the longer the training program goes, whether it's a couple days, a week, a couple weeks, the greater the risk of our energy starting to drop, us starting to get tired, us starting to go through the motions. And as I said at the beginning of this, if we as instructors, as trainers, as our energy level falls, so do our participants. The energy in the room is dictated by us. We have to bring the energy and the passion. How do you keep all that through the course of a couple day, couple week long training session? Here's some tips for you. So that's what we're going to dive into right now. Looks like we've got a couple guests have joined us. Cheers on a random Saturday live. The number one tip is pay attention to the basics. So pay attention to your sleep, eat well, hydrate. I know that seems very rudimentary and very simple, but you as an instructor, you get so busy that you forget to drink, you skip lunch, you may even skip bathroom breaks. You come early, you stay late. You gotta get a good night's sleep, you gotta eat well, you gotta drink, hydrate throughout the sessions. Pay attention to that kind of stuff, because that will drain your biological energy stores if you're not paying attention to that. I'm super guilty. I will start eating junk food at the beginning of a 2-week session, and by the end of that 2-week session, I feel like absolute trash. So don't be like me. Pay attention to the basics. That's number one. Number two is take breaks for yourself. I sort of touched on this already, but take breaks for yourself. It's so easy when you're facilitating, coordinating, and delivering a training program. It's so easy to just become so in the mode of doing all that that you show up to work early, and next thing you know, it's the end of the day. You've stayed late to wrap up that day's work, prepare for the next day's work, and you don't get any chance to mentally unwind. So find a way to do that. Maybe it's you take a walk during the day for a few minutes in between sessions. Maybe that's you carve out a 30-minute lunch break so you can make sure that you do that. Maybe even avoid going out, if it's a corporate setting, to corporate dinners. If there's a dinner every night of the week, maybe skip a couple of those so that you're not getting run down. Because if you aren't mentally switching off and recovering over the course of a training program, you as the instructor will get more and more tired, and that your energy will start to diminish at that point. All right, tip number 3 here on a random Saturday afternoon live. Spread your workload out. Spread your workload out. So mix in other instructors, bring in those subject matter experts, mix the different types of sessions you're doing, but spread that workload around, especially if you have to deliver a lot of training in addition to facilitating and coordinating. The more you deliver, the more taxing it is. So spread that workload out, bring in other people, bring in those subject matter experts to help deliver the training. If you have somebody in your organization who's interested in training, in becoming a trainer, bring them in and let them do a session. Let them do a morning kickoff for 20 minutes or something. Let them do the morning exercise. It at least gives you that little bit of mental break. So spread that workload around. The next tip, the 4th tip, and how do we keep our energy high through a lengthy program, is mixing the workload. So think about mixing up those really hard, draining sessions, those sessions that you have to deliver that are very taxing to you. Now that how much they drain your energy depends on what the material is, your teaching style, whatever the variables that go in that make that tiring. But identify, hey, this block of time really wears me out mentally. So then mix that up, and then the next block of time, do something really easy. Do something fun, a game, an activity, an exercise, something like that. Play a video, whatever. But mix up that delivery. Mix up those hard workload sessions so you're not just doing one after another after another. First of all, your participants are going to thank you, because the longer you keep them in learning mode and the harder the sessions, the less results you get anyway. So you should be mixing all this up for your participant. Hard, easy, hard, medium, medium, easy, hard. Mix it all up, but that also gives you, as the instructor, a break, gets you a chance to unwind a little bit. Those other sessions, when you're mixing up the workload of the sessions, you can then introduce maybe something a little more lighthearted, a little bit more fun, some games, some friendly competition to drive learning. But it's also a chance for you to get a little bit of breather as something funny happens or what have you. So mix up the workload itself. So, random Saturday afternoon live, we're talking about how do you keep your energy and your passion levels high when you're coordinating, facilitating, and delivering a lengthy training program, couple days, couple weeks, what have you. How do you keep your energy high? That's what we're talking about today. If you find this interesting, you like this, be sure to give me a thumbs up, share with a friend, tag somebody in, smash that subscribe button. All right, so we've been through 4 different tips so far. Let's push on to our 5th tip. Be sure you're guiding your participants to figure out the answers for themselves. Now, if you follow me over on LinkedIn, @AdamSpacht, you can get free daily training tips. If you subscribe to the channel here, you should always be guiding your participants to figure out the answers for themselves. That's what good corporate training looks like. You're not just telling them the answer, they're figuring it out. You're just sort of Gandalf-like spirit guiding them to the answer. But in the context of how do you keep yourself mentally fresh, while it takes energy sometimes to figure out how to guide them to the answer. Them doing the mental processing to figure out the answers takes workload off of you. It takes the workload off of you. At a certain point, they got to take responsibility for their learning. And it's like the old expression, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can lead a corporate training participant to the knowledge. It's up to them of whether they do something with it. So always be setting up your sessions, setting up your content, setting up your lesson plans around the idea of how are they going to figure this out for themselves. That's what good learning and training looks like anyway, but that also gives you a little bit of a mental break. And if you do that long enough, then it takes some of that workload and some of that ownership off of you. So that helps you to keep your energy levels high over a lengthy training program. Looking down at my notes here, as you can imagine, I want to make sure I don't forget any of these basic tips. Stay connected with your why. That's the next one. Tip number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tip 6. Stay connected to your why. Why do you enjoy and love facilitating, delivering training? Why do you like being in the classroom, whether that be in person or virtually? Why do you like your corporate training role? And there's many different reasons that are particular to all of us. The more you stay grounded and connected to why you like this role in the first place, you're helping people, you're helping the organization, you like influencing the organization, whatever that why is for you, remind yourself of it regularly. Especially if you've got a program, you're working your way through it, and you have a difficult group. Maybe they aren't understanding the material. Maybe they aren't meeting the expectations. Maybe it was a poor hire situation, and now you have to navigate your way through that in whatever processes are set up in your organization. And watching that unfold is very mentally taxing. Let me assure you, I've had to go to hiring managers many times in the past and say, here's the standard, here's where your hire is at. How can I help? And what do you want to do? So that's all very mentally draining. Sometimes you have a training group and it's not all roses. They're difficult. They don't want to start to comply with the corporate direction. They're just unpleasant people. They don't connect with you. Maybe they're lovely people and they understand the material, but there's not that like friendly, jovial, whatever it is. Training can be very challenging. It's not all just laughs. It's not all just fun times, and that can be very draining on us as instructors. So stay connected to your why. This is why I do this, and remind yourself of it. Make notes to yourself. Have some sort of touchstone or code word that you could refer back to as the training program goes on and you're starting to get a little run down. And trust me, I've been there. When you got a really taxing, challenging group, it's easy to start to just tick the boxes and go through the motions. Listen, I'm just done with this group. I just want to complete the curriculum, turn in all my work at the end and say, yep, we're done. I've been there. It's tough. But you got to reconnect and say, this is why I do this. I do this for the health of the organization. I can't cut corners because it impacts the organization. That's me. But maybe your why is something totally different. Mine is multifaceted. I've not really talked about it in this discussion, but stay connected to that why. It'll help you to keep your energy levels high throughout a lengthy program. And then the last tip, my friends, when you've got a lengthy program, how do you keep your energy and passion levels high? The longer the program, the higher you have to sustain that energy to keep your learners excited, interesting, engaged, enthusiastic, etc. So the last tip, challenge yourself. That's right, challenge yourself. Sometimes as trainers, it's easy to kind of fall into a routine, especially if you coordinate, facilitate, and deliver that program on a fairly regular basis. And I've been in that role too. And it's easy to just fall into a rut. It's day 2, it's this time, we do this block of instruction on this material, we do it this way, I've delivered this session 4,000 times, and you just go into automatic pilot. And when you do that, as I have done that, then you're going through the motions. You are just going through the motions, you are completing the lesson plan line by line, but it's just automatic. And I can assure you, your participants can feel that. They can understand that. Oh, hey, we've got a guest. I'm so sorry. I did not see Monster Man 4743. Hi there. Great to have you along here on a random Saturday afternoon. Sorry I didn't notice your comment before, but I'm glad you checked in. Hopefully you find this interesting. But keep yourself challenged when you fall into that rut, that routine of I've done this session 4 million times and here we go again for 4,000,001. Your participants feel that and your energy dips, your enthusiasm dips, your passion dips, and your participants will 100% feel that. And you know, even if the material itself is very dry, very boring, very procedural in nature, it's not a lot of razzle dazzle, or especially then rather, you got to take that energy even higher to get your participants excited about learning this boring, fill out this form this way, super boring. So you got to work even harder to keep them engaged and excited to learn. But if you're bored because you've taught this the same way 1,000 times, mix it up. Try something new. Come up with a different delivery mechanism. Work with a colleague. Reach out to me and we can bounce some ideas off each other. But mix up your training approach. Try new training approaches. Try new technologies. Try just completely going off script. And instead of teaching whatever that subject is for the same way you've done it already 1,000,000 times, change it up a little bit. You'll naturally be more interested. You will naturally be more excited because you're like out of your comfort zone. You're not just doing the same old thing, and that will automatically translate out to your participants. So there you have it, my friends of NBT Nation. 7 tips, I think, 7 or 8 different tips of how you keep your energy level high through a lengthy training program. Pay attention to the basics. Take lots of mental breaks for yourself. Find a way to make that happen. Spread the workload so it's not just you. It's not the Adam show throughout the entire program. Mix up that workload so you're not doing mentally taxing things over and over again. Guide your participants to figure out the answers for themselves, which you should do anyway. Stay connected to your personal why. Why do you enjoy training? And then keep yourself challenged. I hope you found this interesting. What are some of the things you all do to stay fresh and stay energized in a lengthy training program? What do you do to keep that energy and passion level high? What do you do to stay fresh if you have to stay mentally on it for a long period of time? Let me know. Leave me some comments down below. Let's get some conversation going. I hope you found these tips helpful. Which ones surprised you the most? Which ones maybe had you not thought about before? Or which ones might you want to give a try and know a little bit more about? Let me know. Again, leave some comments below. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. It's been great here on another random Saturday afternoon live session. How do you keep your energy level high for a lengthy training program? If you missed this, hopefully you'll go back and watch the replay. 7 great practical tips. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Saturday afternoon. Monster Man, thanks for joining in. And, oh, looks like we have a last-minute guest here. Oh, Mahir, I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. Much respect. And it's great to have you here on a Saturday afternoon. Cheers, everyone. Remember, NBT Nation, how do we design training that doesn't suck?